Hello! In this video I would like to teach you about post-render actions. So let's navigate into the renderset preferences, and here we can see that we have a post-render actions section. So what are post-render actions? Post-render actions actually define what happens after each render finishes. So for example, if we decide to add one post-render action, we can see that here we have action type, and we can choose from several action types. So first let's choose the copy output file, uh, and as you can see it has the same definable outputs as we saw in the previous video, and this basically just says where the created render output should be copied. So let's use the same output folder path from the previous video, but this time let's add a new folder called copies. So our render output will be copied here, and let's add a copy suffix at the end of the file name so we know it is the copy. So now we can save this output file name, this post render action, and just to look how we define the outputs for the normal rendering, it's here. Now that we close the preferences and we render, when we open the output folder path, we can see that we have the image that is the normal render that was defined in the classic output settings, but we also have a folder called copies, and inside this folder we have an image called image copy. So this is the basis how the post-render actions work. Another cool thing about the post-render actions is that you can create multiple of them and combine them. So let's add a new one, and this time let's add the delete output folder, which does what it says it does. So now we render into this outputs folder, and with this post-render action, we would actually lose it in the end. So if we do not want to lose it, we can add another temporary folder. So now we will render into this TMP folder, and in the end we will get rid of it, but the content of it will get copied somewhere else. And just for fun, we can actually create another post-render action, and this time let's create a play sound. So for this you will need some sound, but I have one prepared here, and it will play after the render is finished. So we have everything prepared and we can hit the render. And now, as you can hear, we finished the render, we heard the bell sound. So that's it. We can open the output folders and we can see that we are in the outputs and there is no TMP file because no TMP folder because it got deleted by the post render action. But we have a copies here, and as we can see, we have the image copy here. So that's how the post render actions work. There are two more things that I would like to mention before we end this video. The first one is that some of the post-render actions can actually use the same variables as the outputs. So if we decide to adjust this post-render action, we can see that we have the same buttons for adding variables, and we have basically the same UI for the outputs. And another thing I would like to say is that same as the outputs, the post-render actions also are definable per scene. So if you have one scene and you have some post-render actions defined there, if you create a new scene, you can create completely different post-render actions, and when you return to your previous scene, you will have those old ones. And that's it. So I hope that you will learn something new and that you will use post-render actions while you render with renderset.